The war began without warning. It was not declared in speeches or announced through signals in the sky. It started with silence, then fire, and then the screams of worlds no one expected to fall. Across the stars, fleets moved like waves, and the smaller civilizations could not hold their ground. The larger empires watched carefully, guarding their borders. But even they were not ready for what came. Among those empires were the Carracks. Proud and ancient, with armies made of machines and beasts bred only for war. Their generals believed nothing could surprise them. They had spent centuries creating living weapons, creatures stronger than any natural predator, trained to obey commands without hesitation. One of these creatures was unlike the others. A beast large as a horse, covered in scars and patches of metallic implants that glowed faintly under its skin. Its eyes shone bright with unnatural light, a mix of machine and life. The Carracks called it a failure. It was not beautiful, not perfect like their other beasts. Its body was uneven, its face marked by strange growths, and its steps sometimes faltered. They mocked it, kept it chained, and whispered that it was cursed. To them, it was ugly. And ugly things had no place in their armies. When the war broke out, the Carracks left it behind on a dying colony world. The beasts they valued were loaded into ships and carried to battle. This one was chained to a broken post and forgotten in the smoke. For days it waited, starving, its implants glowing weakly. Its body shook with hunger, but its heart still beat with strength that it might have died there. If not for the arrival of humans, the humans came not as conquerors, but as survivors. Their ships were damaged, their soldiers tired, yet they moved with purpose. Among them was a young man named Cole, wearing a uniform marked by soot and torn fabric. He had fought in too many battles already, yet he did not walk past the broken creature when he saw it. The beast snarled at him, its glowing eyes flashing, warning him away. But Cole did not raise his weapon. He crouched low, kept his voice steady, and reached out his hand. "You've been left behind too, haven't you?" he said softly. The beast growled, its sharp teeth catching the dim light, but its body swayed weakly. Cole did not see a monster. He saw something else, something no one else bothered to see. A fighter abandoned, just like the broken soldiers he had carried off battlefields before. He cut the chain with a blade. Slow and careful, keeping his eyes locked with the beast's. The metal clanged against the ground. And the beast did not leap to kill him. Instead, it staggered, too weak to attack. Cole reached into his pack and offered food, pressing it onto the ground between them. The beast's glowing eyes narrowed, then it lowered its head and ate, its teeth sharp, but its movements slowed. From that moment, something changed. The soldiers who followed Cole muttered that he was mad. Why waste food on a failed alien beast? Why risk keeping it alive when it could turn on them? Cole ignored them. He gave it water, patched its wounds, and spoke to it as though it could understand. At night, when the sky burned with the fire of falling ships, the beast lay close to him. It no longer snarled when he touched it. Its glowing implants pulsed brighter, as though its body remembered it was meant to fight. But this time, it would not fight for the ones who had abandoned it. The humans moved through ruined towns, gathering survivors, avoiding patrols of enemy soldiers. Everywhere they went, the beast walked beside them. Its eyes glowed in the dark, a warning to anyone watching. Slowly, the others began to see it differently. When danger came, the beast growled before anyone else noticed. When enemies drew near, it stood between them and the humans. Cole spoke to it often, even when it gave no reply. "They called you ugly," he whispered one night as he tightened the strap on his gear. "But they didn't see you right. Maybe they were blind. Maybe the galaxy needs to see what you really are." The beast lifted its head, its glowing eyes fixed on him. And for a moment, Cole felt something he could not explain. Trust. The war raged far beyond that ruined world, but soon the galaxy would hear whispers. Whispers of a human soldier and the alien beast no empire wanted. Whispers of how they walked together through fire and ash, and how the forgotten creature would soon show its true power, and that power would not only shock the enemies of humanity, it would shock every empire that had ever turned its back on one of its own creations. Asterisk, the ruins around them grew more dangerous with each passing day. Enemy patrols swept through burned cities, hunting for survivors, and the humans had to move carefully to avoid capture. Cole led his small group through shattered streets, always watching the skies for drones and the ground for traps. The beast followed closely, its glowing eyes scanning the shadows. The others still whispered doubts about the creature. They called it a liability, a mistake, a ticking danger. But even they could not deny that it had saved them more than once. When enemy scouts drew near, the beast growled first. When mines lay hidden beneath rubble, it stopped the humans just in time. Slowly, suspicion turned to uneasy respect. One night, as they sheltered in the hollow remains of a collapsed tower, Cole sat beside the beast. Its breathing was steady now, stronger than when he first found it. The faint glow of its implants shimmered in the dark, casting blue-green light across the cracked walls. Cole reached out, brushing his hand along the creature's scarred head. "You're no mistake," he whispered. "You're exactly what we need." The beast tilted its head, as though it understood. The next day proved him right. A Carrick's raiding squad dropped from the sky in armored transports. They came with machines, war drones shaped like metal spiders, and soldiers armed with plasma rifles. The humans scrambled for cover, but they were outnumbered and cornered. Cole raised his rifle. Knowing this fight could be their last. Then the beast moved. It surged forward with a speed no one expected, its implants blazing bright. The enemy drones fired streams of energy, but the beast leapt through them, its body twisting with both animal strength and mechanical precision. It tore through the machines, ripping apart armored legs and slamming others into the ground. Sparks flew as circuits shattered under its claws. The Carrick soldiers tried to regroup, shouting commands in their harsh alien tongue. But panic spread when they saw the beast. Recognition flickered in their eyes. They knew it. They remembered it. And they could not believe it was alive. That's the failure. One shouted before the beast lunged at him, sending him crashing into rubble. The humans opened fire from their cover, seizing the moment. Cole fought with calm focus, his shots finding weak points in the enemy's armor. The beast fought beside them like a storm given form. Together, they turned certain defeat into victory. When the last Carrick soldier fell, silence returned. The beast stood tall, its body glowing with fierce energy, its jaws dripping with oil and sparks from broken machines. The humans stared in awe. That thing. One whispered, "It's unstoppable." Cole stepped forward, placing a steady hand on the beast's shoulder. Its breathing was heavy, but its eyes still blazed. "No," he said firmly. "It's not a thing. It's one of us." From that moment, the humans no longer called it ugly. They no longer spoke of it as a mistake. To them, it was a protector, a guardian born from cruelty but remade through loyalty. News of the battle spread quickly. Survivors whispered of a human leading a beast that once belonged to the Carricks. The story grew with every telling. Soon, even enemy scouts feared the sight of glowing eyes in the dark. They spoke of the forsaken beast that no chain could hold, and the human who walked at its side. But for the Carricks, the news carried shame. The generals had abandoned what they called a failure, and now it fought against them. Their arrogance had returned as humiliation. They sent new orders to capture or destroy it before the tale spread too far. Cole knew this. He knew they would come harder, stronger, and in greater numbers. But he also knew something the Carricks could never understand. The beast was not just a weapon. It was alive. It could choose. And it had chosen humanity. That night, as stars burned over the ruined world, Cole sat beside the beast again. He looked into its glowing eyes and spoke as though to a friend. "They'll come for us. They'll send armies, machines, and more. But we'll be ready. Won't we?" The beast lifted its head, releasing a low, deep growl that echoed into the night. It was not a sound of fear. It was a promise. And in that promise, Cole felt hope rise stronger than ever before. The ruins could no longer hide them. After the battle with the Carrick squad, smoke and wreckage drew attention from the skies. Patrol ships circled overhead, scanning with bright beams, and the humans had to move quickly. Cole led his group through broken streets, guiding them deeper into the wastelands where no one wanted to go. The beast followed without hesitation, its glowing eyes cutting through the darkness like lanterns. Though tired, the soldiers felt stronger with the beast at their side. Some even spoke to it now, though they still kept their distance. They whispered names for it: Guardian, Sparkfang, Ironclaw. But the beast only answered to Cole's voice, its head tilting slightly when he spoke, its ears twitching when he called. As they traveled, the group found other survivors hiding in basements and ruins. Civilians, broken and hopeless, clung to scraps of food. When they saw the humans and the beast together, their fear turned to something else. Whispers spread quickly. A human soldier walking beside a war creature abandoned by the Carricks? That was no accident. That was a sign. Each day, their group grew larger. Each night, the beast stood guard, glowing faintly in the shadows. The survivors began to believe it was more than just flesh and metal. To them, it was a symbol that even the cruelest weapons could be turned to protect instead of destroy. But danger never stayed far. On the fourth day after the ambush, the ground trembled with the arrival of heavy war machines. Towering mechs with long arms and glowing cannons stomped through the ruins. Their orders were clear: destroy the beast. The humans scrambled for cover, but Cole knew hiding would not be enough. "We can't run from them," he said. His voice was calm, though his heart pounded. "We fight here." The beast growled deeply, as if agreeing. Its implants glowed brighter, pulsing like a living engine. The first mech fired, blasting apart an old building, sending fire and dust into the air. The humans opened fire, their rifles small against the giant machines. Then the beast charged. It leapt higher than anyone thought possible, landing on the mech's chest. With claws of steel and muscle, it ripped into the armor, tearing cables free. Sparks flew as the machine toppled backward, crashing into rubble. The humans cheered, their fear replaced with adrenaline. But there were more mechs, and each one was deadlier than the last. Plasma fire lit the streets, turning night into a storm of light. Cole fought with all he had, his shots precise, his commands steady. The beast fought beside him, never retreating, never hesitating. It became clear to everyone watching, this was no failure. This was a force no empire should have abandoned. When the last mech fell, silence spread again. Smoke curled into the sky, and rubble smoldered. The humans stood victorious, their losses fewer than expected, their spirits burning brighter than ever. Survivors gathered around, their eyes wide with awe at the sight of the beast standing tall beside Cole. One old woman, her hands trembling, stepped forward and touched the beast's scarred side. It did not snarl. It only stood still, watching her with glowing eyes. "You are no monster," she whispered. "You are salvation." The words spread quickly. No longer was it the forsaken beast. Now people called it the savior beast. Far above, in orbit, Carrick's generals heard the reports with fury. Their discarded creation was not only alive, it was winning battles against them. Worse, it was uniting humans and aliens alike in whispers of hope. They could not allow this. They sent orders across their fleets: destroy the beast at any cost. Cole knew their time was short. That night, he gathered his people around the faint fire they had built. His voice was steady, carrying across the group. "They are afraid of us now," he said. Not because of our weapons. Not because of our numbers. They fear us because they see what we can do together. Human or beast, soldier or survivor, we are stronger when we stand as one. The beast sat beside him, its eyes glowing in the firelight. For the first time, Cole thought he saw something in those eyes that went beyond instinct. A spark of understanding. A bond that no empire could break. The survivors listened in silence, their faces lit by hope. And in that silence, a promise formed. They would not run anymore. They would fight side by side, until the galaxy itself knew their strength. The war had turned into whispers. In every ruined city and hidden camp, people spoke of a human soldier and the beast that walked beside him. Survivors carried the story from one world to the next, and soon even the farthest colonies repeated the tale. Some said the beast was born of fire, others claimed it was a spirit of vengeance. None told the story the same way, but all agreed on one truth. The Carracks had abandoned it, and now it fought for humanity. The Carracks Empire raged at the rumors. Their leaders saw not only shame but danger. If hope spread too far, rebellion could spark across their conquered worlds. And so they sent hunters. Elite squads armed with weapons forged to cut through the toughest armor, soldiers trained for years to track and kill. Their mission was simple: bring back the beast's head, no matter the cost. Cole and his people did not need to be told the danger was coming. They felt it in the air. Patrols grew heavier, skies darker with warships circling above. The beast was restless, pacing at night, its glowing implants pulsing like a warning. Cole rested his hand on its scarred head and whispered, "We'll face them together." The attack came at dawn. Explosions shook the ruins before the sun rose, tearing apart buildings and sending stone flying through the air. Carrack's hunters stormed the streets, their armor sleek and black, their eyes hidden behind glowing visors. They moved like shadows, fast and precise, their rifles humming with deadly power. The humans fought back fiercely, but the hunters were unlike the regular soldiers. They dodged bullets, climbed walls with impossible speed, and fired blasts that ripped holes in solid concrete. Fear spread quickly among the survivors, but the beast did not fear. It roared, the sound echoing through broken towers, and leapt into the fray. Its claws tore through armor, sparks and blood flying in every direction. The hunters struck with blades crackling with energy, cutting deep into its scarred hide. Yet it did not fall. Each wound only seemed to fuel its fury. Cole fought beside it, his rifle burning hot in his hands. He covered its flanks, shouting orders to keep the survivors moving. When a hunter aimed for his back, the beast struck first, slamming the enemy into the ground with bone-crushing force. The bond between them was no longer a mystery. They were not soldier and animal. They were partners, each trusting the other with their lives. The battle raged through the ruins, fire and smoke filling the air. At last, the final hunter fell, its body broken at the beast's feet. Silence came again, but this time it was heavy. The humans looked upon their wounded guardian and gasped. Its sides heaved, its skin torn, its implants sparking weakly. Cole rushed to its side, pressing his hands against its wounds. "Stay with me," he whispered, his voice breaking. The beast's glowing eyes flickered, but it did not collapse. Instead, it lowered its head toward him, as if to say it would not leave him behind. Survivors gathered, offering scraps of medicine and torn cloth to bind its wounds. No one dared call it ugly anymore. To them, it was magnificent, a symbol too powerful to be crushed. But high above, on the bridge of a Carrack's warship, a general watched the failure of his hunters with cold fury. His claws dug into the metal of his command chair. "If squads cannot kill it," he hissed, "then fire will. Burn the entire sector if you must. That beast will not live." Orders spread quickly through the fleet. Warships moved into formation, their cannons charging with enough power to level cities. The Carracks did not care about survivors or ruins. They would erase everything if it meant destroying the creature they once called worthless. Cole and his people did not yet know of the fire about to fall from the sky. For now they tended to their beast, whispering words of thanks and hope. Cole sat close, his hand resting on its scarred head, and he spoke softly. They thought you were nothing. They thought you were a mistake. But you're proof they were wrong. They'll come harder now, harder than ever. But no matter what they bring, we'll stand. The beast's eyes glowed faintly, flickering but steady. It released a low growl, not of pain but of promise. And though the night was filled with smoke, the survivors felt a light burning among them, a light the Carracks could never extinguish. The air vibrated with a low hum before anyone saw the ships. Survivors raised their heads and felt it in their bones, a sound that meant doom was falling from the skies. Then the light came, faint streaks in the heavens, growing brighter, until entire clouds glowed red. The Carracks' fleet had arrived. Cole stood on the cracked roof of a ruined tower, his eyes locked on the horizon. Dozens of warships hovered in the distance, their cannons glowing like suns. This was not a patrol or a hunting squad. This was extermination. They're not here for us, Cole said quietly. They're here for him. Down below, the beast lay among the survivors, its body wrapped in bandages, its breathing steady but slow. Children sat near it, touching its scarred hide with small hands, whispering comfort, as if it could hear. It lifted its head when Cole climbed down, glowing eyes watching him with tired focus. They'll fire soon, Cole said, kneeling beside it. His voice was calm, though fear burned in his chest. When they do, this whole city will be gone. But if we run, if we scatter, maybe we can survive. The beast growled, low and steady, as if rejecting the idea of running. Cole almost smiled. Yeah, I knew you'd say that. The survivors panicked when the first cannon blast struck. Fire erupted on the far edge of the ruins, swallowing entire blocks in an instant. The ground shook, rubble collapsed, and screams filled the air. The Carracks were not holding back. Move! Cole shouted. He gathered the survivors, guiding them through the collapsing streets. The beast limped beside them, its injuries slowing it down but its presence keeping everyone from breaking into chaos. Wherever it walked, the survivors followed. The bombardment grew heavier. Cannons carved trenches through the city, turning towers into dust. Drones poured from the ships, swarming like insects, their eyes glowing red as they scanned for the beast. Cole fired his rifle, dropping one after another, but there were too many. The beast roared, its implants flaring brighter than ever before. With a surge of strength, it leapt into the swarm, tearing drones apart with its claws and jaws. Sparks rained down like stars, and for a moment, the humans saw something terrifying and beautiful. The beast fighting like it was born to defy an empire, but every strike left it weaker. Its wounds reopened, blood mixing with smoke and oil. Cole rushed forward, firing to clear its flanks, shouting for the survivors to keep moving. Don't stop. The beast will cover us. The survivors ran, their fear giving way to determination. They saw now that the beast was not fighting for itself. It was fighting for them. By the time they reached the edge of the ruins, the ground was scorched black and the air burned with heat. A small transport ship waited there, half broken, scavenged from wreckage, but still capable of flight. It was their only chance to escape. Cole turned to the beast. Its body swayed, its glowing eyes flickering, but still it stood tall. He placed his hand against its scarred head, speaking with a voice rough from smoke. You've done more than anyone ever could. But if you stay, they'll kill you here. Come with us. The beast looked at the transport, then back at the burning skies. It released a growl that carried more meaning than words. It would not run. No. Cole whispered, his throat tight. Don't do this. Another cannon blast shook the earth, and the transport nearly toppled. Survivors screamed, urging Cole to board. He clenched his fists, torn between duty to his people and loyalty to the creature that had saved them again and again. The beast stepped forward, planting itself between the transport and the oncoming swarm of drones. Its implants glowed brighter than ever, blazing like fire across its body. It had made its choice. Cole's eyes burned, but he knew what had to be done. He shouted to the survivors, his voice hard and unshakable. "Get on the ship now." As they scrambled aboard, Cole turned back to the beast. "If this is the end," he said softly, "make them remember you." The beast roared, a sound so fierce it seemed to shake the heavens themselves. The Carrick's fleet fired again, unleashing fire and fury. And in that storm of destruction, one scarred, abandoned creature stood its ground, not as a failure, not as ugly, but as the living proof that no empire could erase true power. The transport engines roared to life. Cole looked out the hatch, his heart heavy, as the beast charged into the fire. Its glowing eyes were the last thing he saw before the flames swallowed the ruins. Asterisk. The transport shook as it rose through smoke and fire. Survivors clung to each other, their faces pale with fear and grief. Cole stood at the hatch, staring down at the ruins below. The beast was gone from sight, hidden by clouds of flame and falling debris. Yet even without seeing it, he could still hear the echo of its last roar in his chest. No one spoke for a long time. The only sounds were the hum of the struggling engines and the distant thunder of the Carracks, fleet tearing apart what was left of the city. Finally, one of the survivors, a young boy, whispered, "Did it? Did it save us?" Cole's throat tightened. He nodded slowly. "Yes, it saved us all." The transport carried them beyond the reach of the bombardment. When they landed on a hidden human outpost days later, word had already spread faster than they had traveled. Rumors traveled like lightning through the galaxy. A human soldier had fought beside an abandoned beast, and together they had stood against an empire. Some said the beast had destroyed entire fleets. Others claimed it had become a creature of light, vanishing into the stars. None of the stories matched perfectly, but all carried the same truth. The beast had not died in shame. It had died in glory. Cole stepped off the transport with the survivors, his uniform torn, his eyes weary but unbroken. Soldiers saluted him, not only for his courage but for the symbol he carried. Behind him, people whispered of the guardian of humanity, the beast that had once been called ugly but was now remembered as legendary. The Carracks tried to twist the story, broadcasting lies that the creature had been destroyed easily, that it was nothing but a failed experiment. But no one believed them. Too many survivors had seen the truth with their own eyes. They told their stories again and again, spreading the legend to every corner of the galaxy. And the galaxy listened. Worlds that once feared the Carracks now began to question their strength. If even one abandoned creature, standing with a human, could defy them, what else could rise against their empire? Small rebellions lit like sparks across their territories. Soldiers deserted. Conquered peoples armed themselves. The beast had done what no fleet or army could. It had given the galaxy hope. Cole never let the memory fade. He wore a small piece of the beast's broken implant around his neck, a shard of glowing metal he had found in the wreckage when he returned later. He visited the ruins alone, standing where fire had swallowed the creature, and whispered the words he had never spoken aloud. "You weren't just a weapon. You were my friend." Years passed, but the story never dimmed. Children grew up hearing of the scarred beast who stood against an empire, and of the human who believed in it when no one else did. Statues were raised on human worlds, showing the soldier with his hand on the beast's head. Songs were sung in alien markets, praising the guardian who had been abandoned but found a place with humanity, even in the heart of Carrick's territory. Slaves and servants whispered the tale in the dark. To them, it was proof that even the unwanted, the broken, the forgotten, could still rise and change the galaxy. Cole lived long enough to see those whispers grow into movements. Movements that would one day tear down the Empire itself. When asked how it had all begun, he always gave the same answer. It began with a creature everyone else called worthless, he said quietly. But it was never worthless. It only needed someone to see what it really was. And in those words, the truth of the legend lived on. The beast had been abandoned. The beast had been mocked. The beast had been called ugly. But in the end, it had shown the galaxy its true power. Not in destruction alone, but in the hope it inspired, the courage it gave, and the bond it shared with a single human who refused to turn away. And that was how an empire's mistake became humanity's triumph.